Syria is an Arabic republic where is ongoing a civil war, started on March 15, 2011, and since then, many military factions have come into conflicts, supporting various interests. But before talking about this, let's try to go back and understand everything a little better. The territory of Syria was part of the Ottoman Empire from 1915 until the end of World War I in 1918. At the end of it, the Ottoman Empire was dismembered, and the imperial power of Europe divided the Arab territories on the basis of the United Kingdom agreement with France. This has traced new frontiers by forming new states without taking into account the diversity of the population and conflicts, such as ethnic and religious conflicts between Shia and Sunni. To understand, we need to specify that Arabic does not mean Muslim. An Arab is a resident of Arab countries. Arabs are therefore people, not a religion. There are Muslim Arabs and Christian Arabs. In Syria, for example, 13% of the population are Christians. Muslims are the followers of Islamic religion and divide into two large groups, Sunni and Shia. In Syria, continue to govern Shia, even if they represent only 16% of the population. Therefore, the Shiites, considered heretics by the Sunni because of their faith, allied themselves with the Franks, who considered it an opportunity to strengthen themselves in the country, helping the Shiites to stay in power. But with the end of World War II, colonial forces withdrew, but the borders have remained. However, the Shia have remained in power in Syria and have done everything as long as this does not change, despite the Sunni majority attempt to oppose. In March 2011, the Syrians of the city Darha go to the streets to protest the regime. The forces of Bashar al-Assad, Syrian president at that time, and therefore Shia, ordered to shoot at protestants. As the number of victims grows, the wave of protests is also spreading in other cities, and the civil war begins, which is still ongoing today, mainly between rebels and government. But these two conflicts forces are joined by others, moderate and extremist. Obviously, among the conflict's parts, two major radical jihadist groups are emerging: Al-Nusra Front, an al-Qaeda branch opposed to Syrian regime with the purpose of creating its own Islamic State, and ISIS, a terrorist group that has become known in recent years, who has always slipped away from al-Qaeda and gained visibility by means of extremely violent military attitudes. The two terrorist groups are rivals, but paradoxically, they have the same purpose: impose their own Islamic states on the territory of Syria. So the forces of Bashar al-Assad regime fight against the rebels, against the Kurds and against al-Nusra and ISIS, while ISIS is fighting against all and the Kurds fight against ISIS and the regime. While the Kurds are bothered by Turkey, other international forces have entered these conflicts directly or supporting one of the various groups, including Russia and Iran on the side of al-Assad, United States, France, England and Germany with the rebels. The central motive, however, is certainly not the civil war or the help of the local population, but as always, it is economical. In fact, despite the Arabian Peninsula being predominantly deserts, we find a third of the world's oil reserves to transport these resources to Europe the whole Arabian Peninsula must be surrounded to access the Mediterranean Sea throughout the Suez Canal, where you can imagine the toll is pricey. The shortest and most economical route is a straight line that inevitably goes throughout Syria, which has the outlet on the Mediterranean Sea. So who controls Syria? Control the markets to Europe. And from this comes the interest of everyone for this area. Much of these conflicts remain in the shadows. One thing is certain: over 300,000 people have lost their lives, and 12 million have had to abandon their home. Unexpected reporter here. Thanks for watching.